and welcome to my channel, and this is the week 6 of 2019's weekly review, which is February the 3rd through the 9th. Ooh, it's a busy week. As I said, this is the 6th week of 2019, so this is the new format that I'll be using. I'll be counting the weeks as it goes throughout the year instead of doing each week for each month, because that way you guys can, you know, do the countdown that way. It should be easier, hopefully. But I have a lot to talk about this week. I read 9 books last week, and I'm just going to jump right into it. I have been super busy. We did a 3-day swim meet with my son. So on Friday night, that's where I was until like 9:30 at night. And I did get reading done. But then Saturday, during the day, we were there from like 2:30 until like 8 o'clock or so. I want to say 8. And then, no, 7 or so. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I was there for a long time. And then this morning, Sunday, we were there at butt crack o' dawn, sun not even up, 6:30 in the morning at the pool until just a little while ago. Had to go to the grocery store, pick up some food, you know, for the week. So now I'm finally getting my video done and hopefully get it to you guys tonight. Whew. But I'll make this really short. So 9 things to talk about. Let's just jump right into it. And hopefully, if you guys want to know more about each of the books, make sure you check in the description box so you can timestamp, jump around, do that type of thing. Also, so you can find out the actual names and authors if you happen to miss the cover, or if you happen to miss who I'm talking about, you can always check in the description box because I will always have them timestamped down there. And to make sure that this isn't a long video, I'm just going to be like rattling them off this week, okay? So first book that I finished this week was 50 Shades of Jungle Fever by L.V. Lewis. I place this in erotica. I give it 4 stars. It gets 5 Steam fans. So steamy. I listened to it on audiobook. I did listen to this for Genre-a-thon, romance genre-a-thon for myself, and for Black-a-thon for the, not exactly sure which challenge it was, but I'll make sure to put it here, which challenge that was. This book follows Keisha and Tristan, and yes, there are so many connections. It does say that it's a parody of 50 Shades of Grey, but my understanding of parody was that it sort of makes fun of, but this just sort of took a play off of 50 Shades of Grey and placed it in a urban contemporary setting. For me, that's how that was. I did enjoy it. Keisha is a music person that is trying to get her music studio up, and Tristan is the guy that is this multi-billionaire that they sort of work things out so that he would finance her and her best friend's music venture type thing. So this is their start of their story. This part of the story was very sort of tete-a-tete with 50 Shades of Grey. Keisha has these 2 little fairies that she calls them, her conscience. Ooh, they were a little overboard, and now I get what people talk about when they talk about Anna and her goddess and things like that. So I was like, ooh, wow, I didn't see that before. So then the next book that I read was Exit Strategy, which is book number 2 in this duet of books, or quartet of books. It's supposed to be 4, but the other 2 haven't come out yet. And I still, by L.V. Lewis, I still place it in erotica. I give this one 4 stars, still 5 fans for Steam and hotness, because this one takes a different turn on Keisha and Tristan's relationship. It takes some different twists and turns and definitely veers off from the 50 Shades of Grey sort of storyline into their own storyline, which I really, really enjoyed this time around. And I read this one for Romance Genre-a-thon for African-American author or African-American characters, because Keisha is black, although Tristan is white. So it's sort of it is an interracial relationship. And this is their conclusion. Now, I really would like to have the other duet of Tristan's twin brother and Keisha's best friend, because they end up hooking up. And by the way, this duet has a lot more in-depth BDSM aspects to it than 50 Shades did at all. That's why they get the steam fans. Like, fire. Straight fire. And it gives more explanation about the BDSM community and lifestyle and everything like that. The next book that I read was The Secret Sister by Brenda Novak. I place this in mystery. I give it 3.5 stars. I only give it 1 steam fan. I listened to it on audiobook, and I am reading it for Romanceopoly for the cozy corner space on my board. This book follows Maisie and Rafe and Keith, who is Maisie's brother. So Maisie ends up getting a divorce and moving back to her small island where her family lives of Fairham Island in South Carolina. Well, her brother is going through some issues with drugs and trying to get clean and things like that. There's a whole family secret thing going because Keith thinks that he's a bad guy and he's done bad things, and that's why he goes into drugs. And Maisie wants to come home and help him. The mother is just not nice. The father had some guilt, but he's dead, and it was just really strange for me. It's supposed to be a romantic suspense because Rafe ends up being Maisie's next door neighbor, but also the construction guy that's going to be renovating all of the bungalows on the island for the vacationers. And Rafe has a little girl who was blind, and I didn't feel that romantic connection for the story. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're hooking up, and they have a past as well, so it's like, And then I wanted more out of that storyline, but it wasn't given there. But the mystery side of it was enjoyable and, you know, kind of nice. I wish some things had been fleshed out a little bit more. The next book that I read was Gentleman's Sinner by Jodi Ellen Malpas. I place this in dark romance. I give it 5 humongous stars. Oh my goodness, loved it. 5 steam fans. I read it as an arc. And this story follows Izzy, who is a nurse. She's super independent. She is sassy. She wants to help people, even though she has some dark things that happened to her in her past. And the night that she is getting off of a pretty hectic shift, she sees a woman being assaulted in an alleyway. And lo and behold, also watching this woman and comes to the rescue, Theo. Theo is this big, just guy that people get out of his way. Like, he walks down the road and people are like, he has this aura about him. And throughout the entire story, I just loved Theo. He was so just this gentleman, but you find out that he has things from his past. She has things from her past. They have to work together to help each other through that trauma and difficulties and things like that. And I just really, really loved this story. It was just so good. So good. The next book that I read was Push, also known as Precious by Sapphire. I place this in urban contemporary. Whew. I had to DNF this book at 50%. Could not do it. Could not. I understand that this is supposed to be written in the perspective of an illiterate and not very intelligent 16-year-old black girl that has been raped and abused physically, mentally, and sexually by her parents and other people close to her. I just could not get over the graphic nature in which her abuse was described, so I had to scrap that at 50%. I couldn't do it anymore. Could not do it anymore. And I was going to read that for Romance Genre-thon, but whew, no, had to stop. The next book that I read was Ironheart #1 by Ewing, and this is a superhero comic book. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. No fans because it is a juvenile or middle grade, maybe even YA new adult comic book. Yes, I just named off a whole bunch of age ranges there that could read this. That's just saying that anyone could read this and really enjoy it. This is Riri Williams' first solo comic and starts her story on her journey and everything like that. Oh, I loved it. She's at MIT and she's an engineering major and she's all about saving the world. It was so good to see a Black female superhero in the Marvel universe. I mean, I hadn't seen it before. There probably is some, but I definitely read this for Blackathon for Wakanda Forever, and I was a little shied away because I was like, it's a superhero. It's almost, you know, I didn't want to get into that Black Panther sort of thing because everyone is doing Black Panther's like that go-to comic, and this one was a freaking breath of fresh air. I was like, yes. When I saw it in the comic book store, I was like, I'm gonna give this a chance and I'm gonna get this, and I am so happy I did. So very happy I did. And I'm gonna be going back to the comic book store to see if volume 2 is out as well. Then the next book that I read was International Player by Louise, and I place this in contemporary. I give it 4.5 stars. I give it 4 Steam fans. I listened to it on audiobook as an Audible original. So if you want to listen to it or you want to read this book, you have to go to Audible Originals to get it, because the ebook and physical books don't come out until I think March or maybe May. It's one of those in months here coming up. So you got to check that out. This book follows Truly, who is the twin to Abigail, and this is sort of that I'm the shy twin, I'm the younger twin, and she is the face of our organization, but some things happen and now I have to step out of her shadow, even though I was secure and safe in that shadow, and become the face of the foundation. Well, lo and behold, when Abigail and Rob got married, Rob's friend Noah was at the wedding, and Noah is this hot, super smoking, good-looking guy that women just throw themselves at. And Truly did not throw herself at Noah. And as a matter of fact, she put him in the friend zone. So when Noah leaves and then comes back after 6 years to London and wants to rekindle their friendship, but at the same time sees her in a new light. And I just really loved their banter back and forth. I loved that it wasn't a sort of he's here to save me, but at the same time they had an attraction and they were like, oh, I need to keep my crush sort of under wraps, but at the same time I want to be with my friend. And I just loved how they flowed and ebbed and the banter and everything like that between them. The next book that I read was Halfway Girl by Tessa. I place this in erotic short story. I give this book 5 stars, 5 humongous stars, 5 Steam fans. Please come at me. I mean, like, seriously, yes, I am giving this short story from the podcast. You ready for it? Read me romance. Read me romance. I absolutely loved this story. This is a spin-off story for one of Tessa's books in the Girl series, and it follows Birdie and Jeremiah. Oh, the podcast this week, I just have to go off on this little tangent right here. The podcast this week was absolutely amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And don't get me wrong, the other weeks of the actual banter between Tessa, Mel, and Leah are amazing as well, but this week really just was over the top and amazing because they read some of these stories that listeners have, you know, submitted, and it was a very safe space this week to really just talk about what their they're providing to us by doing the podcast, of a safe space to sort of talk and find like-minded women and maybe men as well. I don't know if there's any men that listen to the podcast, but definitely women that are listening to this podcast, and to feel sort of connected and understood and things like that. And the description that they give, back to the story now, description that Tessa gives for Jeremiah is that he is sort of this Wreck-It Ralph sort of character, very large and in charge, but on the inside all gooey and sweet, and oh, did it come through. It totally came through. And I love that Broody was this like sassy sort of punk rock chick, but she's living for and doing things because she thinks that she needs to live for someone else. And their banter back and forth was amazing. It was freaking smoking. Because I want to say like episode 2, you're like, what? Ooh, that was so flippin' hot. So hot. And then all of Tessa's like stories for Read Me Romance seem to leave you just hanging there on that like moment. You're like, oh yeah, it's about to get up. Hey lady listeners, oh my god, Tessa, what are you doing to me? But I loved every single moment of that book, and just come at me if you want to judge me for my ratings. I loved it, and I loved the week. It was great. I loved all the stories that people shared, and it was fabulous. Then the last book that I read last week was Lust by Dukey, and I really hope that I said Kerr's name correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. Please let me know how to say your name. I place this in dark romance. I give this book 4.5 stars. I give it 5 Steam fans. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I read it as an arc. This is the start of the Elite 7 series. Woo! 7 authors, 7 stories, 7 deadly sins, secret society. This was amazing. So after I finished this book and I read some of the other sort of reviews that were already out there, everyone was like, oh, it's kind of slow in the beginning. And you know, I don't remember it being slow, because once it got intense and got crazy deep, I was all for it. I mean, I do remember in the beginning, when we first meet our character, Rhett, who is the male lead for this story, he has a tragedy that happens, and I was like, ooh, I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna fit the sin of lust with this guy that just had this tragedy. I'm like, I'm not seeing how they mesh. But as the story evolved and, you know, was laid out, I was like, okay, I can see how he is lust and how he likes the panties and things like that. But then I don't know if it slowed down or anything, but then I got to that intense moment, and I was literally, I'm just gonna grab a book real quick and pretend I'm reading it, right? So I am at my son's swim practice with my Kindle, talking about woo, what? Woo, woo, oh my god, woo. That was me. That was me. For like 20 minutes straight, I was reading and was just in that story because it was just so crazy and out of control. This is set in New Orleans, so it has that sort of aspect to it. Maybe a little creepy, definitely taboo. Definitely, if you are okay with a lot of different things, I'm not even going to go into what the things are. If you're into different things, this is one of those safe space books. And, ooh, it's there. I can't wait to get my hands on the next installment, which is Pride. And I believe it's by J.D. Hollyfield. Who can't wait, can't wait. This series is going to be off the chain because Secret Society. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, on to what I am currently reading. I will go over these really quickly because I can't give you a whole bunch of in-depth on them. I'm already running long. So, currently reading Forget Me Not by Brenda Jackson. Back to Catalina Cove. Yes, I was wanting this story. This story follows Ray and Ashley. Ashley loses her husband 3 years ago. Ray lost his memories. And they're both in Catalina Cove. That's all I'm going to tell you. And I'm loving it. Loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. And also, Brenda Jackson is a Black author. Unforgettable You by Brenda Novak. I will be starting it this week. So this is for a project of mine. And I'm excited to read this one. The Half-Truth by Leddy Harper. I will be starting this one as well because it is an arc. And the review is due next week or maybe 2 weeks away. But it's due, coming soon. And I need to get this read. And it's Leddy Harper. I am also reading Black Enough, which is by various different authors, and they're all Black authors. I'm reading that one for Blackathon and Romance Genreathon because they're Black authors, they're Black main characters, and they have a couple stories in there that are Black and like LGBT. That one. I'll put the challenge down here. And I am also listening to Fire in His Kiss by Ruby Dixon. This is book number 2 in the Dragon Blood series, I believe. I listened to the first book in this series a while ago, and I'm just now getting back into this because I needed this one for one of the challenges for Romanceopoly, and I'm going to check it out. And it started off a little rough because it was doing the whole mine thing, the word mine in the dragon's thoughts that I was like, that annoyed me in the first book. It's a lot less in this one, so hopefully it continues to be less. Alrighty, so let's do the Romanceopoly roll and see 3 more picks. Actually, I'm not going to do any Romanceopoly picks this week. I have a couple open ones still, so I will get those taken care of, and then I will do some rolls. So, have you read any of the books that I just named off? Is there anything in particular about any of the books that I just described that you really enjoy or that you want to hear more about? Make sure you always check down in the description box for my social media stuff, so you can follow me, because I do post Insta stories and I do write reviews over on Goodreads that sometimes are a little more coherent than my videos. Or you can, if you want an instant gratification of knowing what I am reading, you can always follow me on Goodreads, because I update that as soon as I finish the book and not wait until the end of the week to add those in. But let me know down in the comments. Let's discuss the books that I just talked about. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.